when you help people understand what their relationship to themselves, to the world around them, to the choices that they're making, to the decisions, their environments, their circumstances, that's so critical, because you're going a layer a lot deeper, because you're infusing this understanding from a very deep place into the work that you're doing. So let's talk about this. I know that there's sort of a position that you take and that you have clarity around, and you're really helping other people understand this perspective of relationship and respect and responsibility and reframing and resilience. Can you put that into some context around the work that you're doing at the moment?
We choose the rhythm of our lives every day. We choose if we're going to wake up in the morning and be in this head-banging, crazy, schedule, or if we're going to be in, hey, we love rock and roll, we're going to be in this kind of cool, funky rock and roll space, or if we're going to be in this deep, dark violin, pulling ourselves down into the darkness. So one of the big things around this that we have really, identified is that, one, people are hungry for connection. It starts with connection. Two, relationships, whether at home, whether in your business, whether in your community, it's one life. It's not relationships over there, relationships over here. It is relationships. And the fact is that we all live in a rhythm of relationships in our lives. And the rhythm includes respect, responsibility, reframing, and resilience. So if you look at each of those in all areas of your life, your business, your community, your family, whatever that looks like for you, and you look at the rhythm of your life and say, okay, I wake up this morning, I get to choose. If I am really standing in respect, and if I am really offering respect to others in my family and my business, how am I showing up? Am I showing up with trust and gaining trust? Yeah. Am I showing up with integrity? Am I showing up valuing and walking into the room with people I care about on my team as a CEO? Am I leading with gratitude from a space of recognition and awareness that says, thank you for being here. Thank you for being in this space. It's why we talk about we're people first, and that's where the bottom line begins. Because when we connect on the human relationship side, and you step through respect, and then you step through responsibility. Responsibility is, I get to be impeccable with my word. I get to be in integrity with my speech and with how I'm treating other people. I get to listen, right? So I get to be accountable. The accountability piece is huge. And then you look at, there's always change. There's always craziness in the world. Look at the last couple of years, whether or not it's reinvention, whether or not there's death in the family, there's life in the family, there is always an opportunity to reframe, to look at something from another perspective. And these are all choices we get to make. And then from a reframing space, we rise through in a resilient space. We shift, we recognize that we're not victims. This has happened for us, and how do I get to gain from it? And then how do I get to be in service to others? So the idea of a rhythm circle in our life, respect, responsibility, reframing, and resilience, really captures all the choices we get to make in living an incredibly productive business life and an incredibly beautiful, thriving life and thriving planet.
It's amazing the way you connect the dots between all of these pieces that are such critical pillars of the way we choose to move through life. One of the things I get asked a lot in these conversations is, what about the person who truly believes that they are, maybe they don't look at it as a victim, but they will say, I don't have a choice. I'm a single parent. I'm holding down 2 jobs. I'm raising 3 kids. I'm trying to go to school so that one day I can do X, Y, and Z. Someone in that space says, oh, this all sounds really nice. But I think it's really important that we recognize and honor people who do feel that, because those of us that are here today that are enjoying this conversation, many of us are in a place where we're open to doing the work. We understand the conversation, the possibility, the opportunity. We recognize there are challenges in our lives. How do we help the person that doesn't feel that they're in that place? How do we help them reframe and feel like they have more of a relationship to themselves and those opportunities?
So, and I mean, it's a great question, and I want to just call something forward and just spend a minute on something that you just said, which is really important to how we're talking to ourselves, right? So the reason we do mindset and marketing is because mindset is not just of the audience we're serving. Mindset is us. It all starts here, right? We are all in relationship no matter what. We're all in relationship. It just is. We're in relationship, family, our clock that goes off in the morning, the craziness in the day. We are always in relationship. The question is, are you in relationship to something which is coming at it, which is very sort of one-sided, and we're reaching for something or we're chasing something,
Right.
versus being in relationship with, which offers an energetic exchange that moves through. And so I say that because you were just talking about relationship too, and it's interesting, language really matters,
Yeah.
right? It really matters. And to the
Yes.
person who is literally, I'm mentoring someone right now who is the person you just described.
Okay.
And so single mom, 4 kids, 2 dads to the children, not connected to any of them, has just moved somewhere, is really working. And this is a person who we are constantly exploring. What does life look like when you don't sit in a space of victim and it's happening to me? Yes, it's happening. But what could shift if you looked at it from another perspective that said, this is happening, and here's the choice, here's what I get to do about it.
Yeah.
So it's coming to a space and really recognizing we have a choice in everything we're doing. Now, that being said, this person had also been through a very traumatic childhood, and rape and all kinds of horrible things. When you're in that moment, it's very tough to be in choice because it is happening to you.
Yeah.
So it's most important to recognize those moments and how they are shaping you in your life, but not to become a victim to those moments.
Right.
Because once those moments happen, we have the ability, whether or not it's in our professional, a really $4 million deal got done. I mean, and I want to be clear, I had an opportunity and I had a $250,000 a year job that lasted 6 weeks. And it was done. I could have experienced that in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I chose the alternative. So when somebody has all of that going on in their lives, the first thing we want to do is we want to recognize who they are as a human.
Yeah.
To be in gratitude and say, I get it, I hear that. But what we do in the morning when we're doing our sessions is, okay, what are you grateful for today? And you start from a place of gratitude that says, yeah, there's all this other stuff happening, but at the core, I'm alive and I've survived that. I'm thriving with 4 children who are incredible and hearts and amazing little people that I brought onto this planet. And I have a roof over my head. I'm paying my bills. All of a sudden, that recognition of everything is crappy comes forward with a space of, wow, and it becomes evidence for how this person has shifted their life.
Right.
Right. And those are some of the most important pieces, because it's easy to get caught up in the, oh my gosh, the overwhelm.
Yeah.
And I used to be that person in my work setting that overwhelm was just big and huge. And I really reframed that and said, you know what? Overwhelm's an island and I choose not to go there.
I love that. I always, and I talk about it in the book, but I talk about putting on a pair of rose-colored glasses just for a moment. Try to see your world from a different perspective, a different point of view, a different crack in your head that enables you to see that there are options for the way you can relate with the world that you are living in, right? and how to really have the gratitude that helps. And I love what you said, it validates when you can go down that checklist for just a moment. I talk about this as well, that, you know, pat yourself on the shoulder. When you go to do something that you want to shift in your life, take the baby steps and pat yourself along the way for each little baby step, because it is a monumental thing to have a shift in our behavior, in our attitude, in our perspective. And I know you talk about the 3 Gs and the importance of that every day in our life. Will you share a bit about that?
Yes. So during COVID, we were all, okay, what's today going to bring? What's today going to bring? And there was this constant sort of question. And one of the things that really kept coming forward for Ken and I, and especially in our coaching work, was, wow, I am so grateful. Like every day would come and we'd say, we're so grateful. We're not sick. We're healthy. We're moving forward. So a couple of years ago, we started this practice, and it's the 3 Gs in the morning and at night. So we wake up in the morning. You can all do this, whether or not you're single, whether or not you have a partner, whether or not you do it with your business team. So we've coached our clients into doing this across the board. And it's, you say good morning. If you're on your own, you can do it in the mirror. If you're with a spouse, you turn to your spouse, your partner, you say good morning with a big smile on your face. And then we do a meditation. We do a grounding, which is usually about 10 to 20 minutes. And then after the grounding, we say, what are the 3 things we're grateful for today? And that's whatever is kind of, we know is showing up in our day. Sometimes that also includes things that we know are going to be challenging for the day, and that's okay. And then at the end of the day, we do the same. We come back and we do 10 to 20 minute grounding. Could be 5 minutes, whatever works for you. For some people, that's prayer. For other people, it's, it is a meditation. For some people, it's dancing it out with music. Whatever
Right.
that grounding is for you, there's no have-tos. You don't have to be perfectly quiet. It's whatever that is that shows up for you. Give yourself the space. So it's the grounding. It's the, what are the 3 things I'm grateful for that took place today? And sometimes it's also being able to say, which I can give you a very specific example. 24 hours ago, I was in this space dealing with something with a client, and they were definitely over the top. And I was on the receiving end of this big booming yelling. And I just kind of sat there and I just sort of took it, and it wasn't about me. It had nothing to do with me,
Yeah.
right? And that's what we get to recognize.
Right.
And when I went to go do my grounding and, that and my gratitudes that night, I said, you know what? I am so grateful for that moment for 2 big reasons. One, that I was the person that she chose to unleash on, and not someone in her family.
Interesting.
Huge shift for her. It
Yeah.
normally would have gone to her family, and that I was the person.
Yeah.
That was number 1. And number 2, I was grateful that I could be in service to her, and that I had learned a lot about how I responded to her versus my history 10 years ago, which would have been reacting to her.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in this listening space, and it was really incredible. And so look, when you start your day in the morning with gratitude and you go back to it at night, it just bookends your 24 hours. And it's not mamby-pamby. It doesn't mean that things are all great all the time. But even when things aren't great, we get to stand in a space of gratitude. And that builds our evidence, and it builds that muscle to be able to be in recognition.
Yeah, no, that's a very powerful way to look at it and to get perspective. And in our business worlds, I think what's really interesting, this notion of I am work, I am personal life. We tend to separate the two, but we bring ourselves to work, and not all of us are entrepreneurs running our own companies 24/7. That's kind of a given. But I think there's space for that relationship with our work and what we do and who we are. And I think you have a really wonderful perspective on this as well. And I know you have a TED Talk coming up, and I don't know what that conversation is going to be all about, because we haven't really touched on that. But is that part of where you will go with that? And let's kind of talk about both, one, then the other, maybe the both together if they belong in the same conversation. But I think that's so critical, because I think so many people separate themselves from who they are at work. And there's a real beauty to understanding your relationship to what you do every day and what you bring to it and to the people and the environment around you.
Yeah, exactly. And so you guys all heard, so Kathy actually announced, thank you, Kathy. So we actually, because we just, and so what better way to be able to announce this than on a session with my friend Kathy. So yeah, so Ken and I actually have just been invited to participate in TEDx Farmingdale, October 8th. We're very excited about it, and we're doing it together, which is unusual for TEDx. It's not very common. So we're really excited about it, and I am sworn to secrecy to share much until we get further down the road. So I will invite you to just join us there. And of course, TEDx Farmingdale, I know the tickets are on sale right now.